Yo, what's going on, Dragon Ballers? Welcome back to another video. Today I'm recommending to you guys my top sideboard cards for June 2022. This is going to be largely based off the Texas A-Con Regional. There was lots of good data from that event. There were lots of players, lots of rounds, and it was sideboard best of one. So we were able to bring in different answer cards from the sideboard, so quote-unquote uninteractive strategies were not able to just dominate like they kind of normally would in a best of one. But that just leads me to say, guys, even if you're not playing in best of one pre-side events or best of three events, this video will still have useful information for you. You can always take these cards and just like main board tech them if you're playing in pure best of ones. But of course, if you're playing in your best of one pre-sides and your best of three, this will be very helpful in your sideboard. But anyways, guys, that being said, if you're new here, make sure to subscribe, hit that bell so you never miss a video. And if you guys want to help support the channel, there are many ways down in the description you can do so as always. But today, if you want to buy or pre-order any of the cards we talk about in today's video, or any trading card game cards for that matter, feel free to use my link in the description to TCG Player. Really does help me out a lot. I do appreciate it. Anyways, let's get right into this. Alright, so this slew of cards I feel like is definitely becoming the new staple for this type of video. You gotta have your answers to different floodgates in the format. Cards like Robotic Riposte, cards like Oceania Shenron Negate, you gotta have answers. Red is playing Vegeta Resolve Renewed for the most part, and a lot of red decks are mainboarding it, which I definitely agree with, but if you're not mainboarding it, definitely consider sideboarding it 110%. Yellow, I think your best option is Tyrannical Blow. The main downside of T-Blow is that it's not a battle card like either Vegeta Resolve Renewed or Dodoria, which we'll talk about in a minute, but T-Blow is still really good. Most of the floodgates are 3 cost or less, and the nice thing about T-Blow is if you're up against blue and they play, for example, Oceania Shenron or Gohan Baby's Minion, you can use T-Blow, negate that floodgate, and they're probably going to have Boo Unison on the board, which T-Blow can now negate the skills of. So you're actually shutting down a lot of their defenses just for this one card. I wish it was a bit more mainboardable though, compared to like Vegeta, because Vegeta is a battle card. That's a really big pro to just mainboarding it. But also Vegeta just like actually stops some strategies straight up because of, you know, counterplaying a 15k or less battle card. That's not only useful for floodgates, that's also useful for just like certain main deck engine battle cards. T-Blow is a bit more niche, can still be useful, but the fact that it doesn't remove the card from the board can oftentimes be a thing. But yeah, T-Blow is still great for yellow decks. And then for green, you've got a few options. Dodoria is one that I really like, especially in the Cooler deck, because Cooler always has Unison on board, right? Cooler always having a Unison is going to make Dodoria live 99% of the time. That's awesome. Another option for green, if you don't always have a Unison in play, is going to be Focus Breakthrough. That requires you to have 4 or less life. Can also be used for free if you have multicolor energy charge, but let's be honest, there are no real good green multicolor decks right now that play a green leader. But still, I mean, those are your options. You can still use Focus Breakthrough for 1 energy as long as you like 4 or less once again. Most of the colors have an extra card like Focus Breakthrough. You have Super Kamehameha in black, you have Beerus Ball in red, but I think Vegeta is going to be better than Beerus Ball in most cases. Yellow, unfortunately, all that one is really a Crusher Ball. It just brings a card into rest mode. Doesn't actually stop the play of a card like the other colors have. So again, I think T-Blow is your best bet. But yeah, I just wanted to kind of list all those options for you guys. Blue does not really need cards like this. I just want to make you guys aware of that if you're blue players. Because in your main kit, you have Godsling Technique Trunks, which negates the play of anything as long as it does not have Deflect. Sometimes it's a little bit annoying that it puts it back into the opponent's hand, mostly in the case of Robotic Riposte, but any of the floodgates that cost 2 or more, your opponent's probably not going to have the energy to recast them. So it's still going to be good for blue decks. But in your non-blue decks, wanted to make you guys aware of all these cards. Should definitely be somewhere in your main or sideboard. Then we have King Vegeta Hidden Ambitions. So this one's obviously just a tech for red, but I think it's very good right now. There have been random times where this card has been good in previous formats. If you don't know what it does, it basically stops the counter skill of an extra card that costs 1 specifically that was used for free. So of course, this is good against your different Spark Negates, Dimension Magic, Power Burst, After Image, all that good stuff. But green is coming back into the meta now, and Dormant Potential Unleashed is a very popular card in green that gets activated for free. King Vegeta Hidden Ambitions can interact with that. And we just saw Finn win a regional, crazy enough, and Finn had his own extra card floodgate that's sort of like a Nimbus Dormant hybrid that can be used for free, and King Vegeta and Hidden Ambitions can severely punish that. So I think this card is very good this format. Then we have Son Gohan Changing History, your blue silver bullet that punishes Dimension Magic. We saw in the Texas A-Con Regional a fair amount of mill and a fair amount of blue-green, like mid-range control. We didn't really see any mono blue, but I would still personally not count out SS4 Vegeta and I wouldn't even be surprised if like the right build of Soul Striker made an appearance once people figure that out. And I wouldn't be surprised if S3 Reboot made an appearance. Just these other random like roguish blue decks. I think having your silver bullets that punish their dimension magic is very, very good. More so, I think it's good for like your rogue aggro decks, and we know that aggro is a bit more rogue right now than meta, but if you're playing aggro, I think these are cards you want to have in your sideboard 100%, so those defensive stally blue decks can't get stabilized. If decks like Soul Striker and S3 Reboot, these decks that untap offensively, come back into the fold, of course, you're going to want to have your other blue silver bullets that punish offensive untapping, but because of what we saw at Texas, this is why I have this card listed here alone. Then we have Machika Borah, the Broken Seal. So this card's obviously great against any deck that relies on a singular boss monster or main engine piece, but the number one deck that I like this against right now is going to be Cell Reboot, because most decks don't have a way to actually stop the effect of Perfect Force Cell from resolving, but Machika Borah, the Broken Seal is a card that's playable in any deck that is going to be able to stop the effect of Perfect Force Cell, or at least prevent them from playing it, which is very, very nice. And next up, we have Deborah Ritual at hand. So funnily enough, this card is not very effective against Cell Reboot because they're not really taking any cards from your hand until their big turn 5 play, where they're going to take your hand to near 0. So Deborah's unfortunately not really going to help you recover from that. But the one deck that I think Deborah is very good against is going to be Cooler, because they pick your hand a lot less over more time, right? So, you know, if they're taking 1 to 2 cards away from you a turn, and you have a Deborah, that's going to obviously offset that. And of course, there are a few cards. I know Yellow has one. I think maybe Green has one as well, that are like half Deborahs, but they're able to be played for free. So those are also options for you guys as well. I know the one in Yellow is a Gohan, a future Gohan. The one in Green, I think, is a Vegeta. But yeah, good options for you guys. And we will get into the rest of the sideboard cards. But real quick, we have a word from today's video's sponsor. Yo, Dragon Ballers, quick break in the video to give a huge shout out to PPG, who is going above and beyond to make our organized play season the best that it can possibly be. I'm here on the PPG event management website. I'm going to link this down in the description, so all you have to do to sign up for any of these events is go down to that link. Next up is the Origins event, which is a huge one, guys. They have events going from Wednesday to Saturday. Practically every single day of the con, you can play a Dragon Ball Super event among other card games. It's going to be an absolutely incredible time. Next up, after that, we have an event in Denver, which is for the Pro Play Tour organized season. Not only are you playing for an invite to the Pro Play Invitational, but you're also playing for $2,000 guaranteed. And if you want to, guys, there is also a Team War event in that same weekend, and Team War is one of the best formats to play. If you haven't played a tournament with your friends, you absolutely have to do it. And then finally, an event that I know for sure that I'll be attending is the Too Many Games convention in Philadelphia. This is actually a regional for the regular Dragon Ball Super organized play season. So again, guys, super huge shout out to PPG. Secondly, this website is so awesomely laid out. All you have to do is go to this website. All these different tabs here will take you to the events you want to sign up for. I hope to see you guys there. Let's get back into the video. All right, huge shout out to PPG as always. Getting back into this, of course, we have Koitsukai. It's been one of the best side deck cards for quite some time now. There are still plenty of decks playing cards during your turn, whether they're battle card floodgates that actually play bodies or they're arrival decks. Of course, Koitsukai is going to be a no-brainer to consider for your sideboard. Then we have your different extra cards that kind of serve the purpose of just large removal. So the main generally applicable one is going to be max power Kamehameha, KO, or warp anything that is higher cost than your opponent's energy. Then we also have various Realm of the Gods cards like Ultra Instinct. Choose one of your opponent's battle cards greater than the current energy cost, and it gets minus 30,000 power for the turn. So a few of the Realm of the Gods cards operate as in-color max powers, which is going to be really nice because you can always charge them if you need to. Max power if you're playing like a blue deck or a yellow deck and it happens to be off color, you can't really charge it, which kind of sucks. You're gonna have to make use of it in your hand somehow. But Realm of the Gods, I do actually like its versatility a lot for the ability to even main deck it if you want to. There are a few red decks where I'm main decking Realm of the Gods, mostly for the Sin Shenron matchup, and that's the number one deck why I want to recommend this to you guys, because, you know, Sin's still top Texas, it's still a deck, and I find it's very popular in Swiss. The past several tournaments I've played in, Sin has been very popular, or at least I've played against a lot of them. It's kind of anecdotal, but just been my experience. And they still manage to top every now and again. So most tournaments you'll see Sin topping. But anyways, back to the versatility of Realm of the Gods. I like the fact that I can mainboard it, because if I don't need to use the ability of the minus 30k on offense, it's still a 1 energy 15k combo that draws a card on defense. That is incredible versatility. Obviously, all the different Realm of the Gods extra cards are going to have different levels of versatility, but, you know, look at the deck you're playing, look at the Realm of the Gods option you have access to, and then, you know, make a decision whether or not you can main board it or just want to sideboard it for different scenarios. Then we have Food Arc Banisher. So there are a lot of these like mid-rangey control decks in this event that can't really deal with Food Arc Banisher all that well. Green doesn't really have a way to deal with Fu. Like, it's too big for Charismatic Villain. They don't have negates that typically stop this, at least considering the cards they most popularly play. There are some negates they can just like negate and then pop this guy, but that would be like I think it's a Kakunsa that is not very widely played in green right now. But yeah, green, hard time interacting with this. There's also, again, a fair amount of mill in the top 16 of Akon, and Janemba Mill cannot play Godsling Technique Trunks, so they don't really have a conventional answer to Food Arc Banisher. And the cool thing is they're going to be milling you out, setting up your Overwhelm 8. So even if you're a deck that can't normally support an Overwhelm 8 very well, Janemba is going to set that up for you. Only unfortunate thing is if they happen to mill this from your deck, that's going to suck. But I mean, I think you still take the risk because this card seems like it can get a lot of value in a lot of different matchups from what I'm seeing at least. And the last slide here, guys, don't take this as gospel. This is definitely a very questionable slide, but, you know, we still want to be prepared with some sort of like mass board removal. And, you know, we lost Secret Identity Mass Sand, right? That card is now on the ban list. So what are we looking at for mass board removal? Kami Global Unifier has been one that's seen some play in various formats, more so in blue decks, because blue decks can actually afford to pay the 3 that Kami requires, because a lot of times they can get that energy back offensively or defensively. Another deck that can play Kami is like Hatchiyak, like Stally Black decks that somehow have ways to revive the card or, you know, just stall out the game and make the 3 energy investment not nearly as bad. So Kami is good in, you know, slower control-y decks that can afford to play it. Mass Sand the Mysterious Warrior is the obvious downgrade from Secret ID. I mean, it came out like 3 years before the card, right? So that's kind of obvious, but just comparing the two, I mean, Mass Sand doesn't hit blockers annoyingly enough, but it also only hits up to 5 cost, where Secret ID hit up to 6 cost. But if you're up against a token deck like Toa, this is still going to be a maximum board wipe, except for the tokens that the Mirror Unison gives blocker. But still, you see my point. Secret ID was free, was also free to combo, didn't cost 1 to play. So yes, this is a direct downgrade, but if there are decks in the meta, maybe like, I don't know, Red Bardock's Crew, Red Jiren, Red Broly BR, maybe even Agents of Destruction, where they have a lot of these small cost battle cards on board, you might still want to consider Mass Sand the Mysterious Warrior as a sideboard Overwhelm for some mass removal, however much worse it might be than Secret ID. Unfortunately, Secret ID is no longer an option, so this is what we're looking at. But anyways, guys, hope this video was helpful to you. Let me know in the comments below if you found something in this video helpful. Also, drop in the comments any other recommendations you guys have for sideboard this format. I'm sure people would love to see it. Anyways, that's it for me. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.